Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits, as it should. Man, it should. Because if you're in good spirits, you listen more. And I need your ears tonight. I need your help more than ever on this particular case, this particular story, this particular person. All right? So I really need you guys to hear me out and hear my guests out, because we got some things to talk about tonight. So please do me the solid, and we're going to get straight into it because we got some conversations to have right now. So do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, please do me a favor. Hit that follow button over there. Okay? Show some love. That'd be greatly appreciated. Of course, crush that subscribe button here on my main channel. You can also go check out my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. That'll be greatly appreciated as well. Hit that join button down below, become a member, or check out my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. Okay, guys, we got some things we got to get into. Like I've said before, there is a case that's been percolating for a while. And the reason why I say it's been percolating for a while is because I'm feeling some type of way about this. I really am. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this case up. And this is for every case that's still not out here as much. Nikki Saelee-McCain, she went missing around May 18th out of Redding, California. This is months after she had filed, some serious damning charges against her. Well, we got to use the word husband, okay? And if you've seen my show before talking about this particular case, you already know how I feel about the husband, but the husband, Tyler McCain, he was looking at some serious charges of DV, all right? She was viciously attacked, allegedly, by this man. She was supposed to show up to court. She did not show up. And now, since the reporting of that particular case, that trial has been dismissed. So now this man is free as a bird, and yet no one knows, still to this day, where Nikki Saelee-McCain is. And I'm going to tell you something. There hasn't really been much conversation about her in these internet streets, in the news as much, and I'm wondering why. And this is the reason why we are bringing on two very special guests onto the show right now. Her sisters have a lot to say about this whole case, and they want to bring as much knowledge and awareness about their loved one's case. So please welcome Kay and Chloe to the show. Good evening, guys. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Pascal.
Of course. It's an honor to have you guys here. And we have been trying to get this conversation on for a while. So no time like the present, right? Better late than never. So I want you guys to tell me a little bit more about Nikki. Or the last time you spoke to Nikki, because I understand in some reports they say she went missing on May 18th, but now I'm hearing May 22nd, if I'm correct. What was the conversation, and who had the last correspondence with Nikki before she actually disappeared?
I'm Nikki's sister. I'm Chloe. I'm Nikki's other sister. And she was texting me Friday, May 17th that night. And the last text message that she sent me was at 12:35 a.m., making it May 18th, the next day, Saturday. And that was the last text message that she sent me.
Now, now the thing is I've heard a bunch of different situations here, right? A bunch of different scenarios. she was picking somebody up from the hospital, and then that's what she was saying in her text messages? Because I've heard a few differing pieces of information. So what is it? Did she text you saying, hey, I'm picking somebody up, and then she disappeared after that? Or can you kind of expand a little bit on that correspondence that you had with her, Chloe?
Yeah, so in the text message, I'm just going strictly just directly from what the text messages did say. But in the text message, when she was at the hospital, she did mention that she was with her mother-in-law. Um, and then the last text message did say that she was on her way back to her mother-in-law's house to drop off her mother-in-law's car to her. So she didn't say if her mother-in-law was in the car with her or not when she was leaving to take the car to back to her mother-in-law's house, but I do know that she was at the hospital with her mother-in-law. Because of the text message, she did say how the mother-in-law was feeling and about the situation.
So, Kay, can you tell me a little bit more about that? About the mother-in-law, Jeanette Haywards, right? Can you explain a little bit about what Jeanette said, what kind of interaction she had with Nikki before she disappeared?
We what we have heard from her was that she doesn't really remember what happened that night. This is what we have heard. But our understanding of that night was that there was a family emergency, so that everyone kind of rushed to the hospital, some in different vehicles. It sounds like it was kind of chaotic. So everyone kind of rushed there, and then at one point, it sounded like Jeanette and Nikki left the hospital, and that's why Nikki was driving her vehicle. And what I gathered from the messages was that she had dropped Jeanette off at her house, and then later that evening went back to bring the vehicle back to Jeanette's house. And then from there, we're not really sure if she had gotten back to her house or if someone had brought her there. The stories there conflict a little bit as far as who took her home, if she went home, and whether she made it home. But the as far as we're concerned, we don't really have a straight answer from the mother-in-law Jeanette about what happened that night.
Interesting. So she took Jeanette, right, back to Jeanette's home, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple questions here. So she took her back to the house. Have you seen any surveillance cameras or anything, street cams, etc., showing her actually operating this car or driving in that direction at all?
We have not. Jeanette does live by the Wind River Casino on the Redding Rancheria. So I know that there are cameras that capture all the cars coming in and out of those the Rancheria. And my understanding is that the Rancheria has been cooperative and submitted those videos to law enforcement, but we ourselves have not seen any footage.
Interesting. So the Rancheria, you said?
Yes, the Redding Rancheria.
Ready Rancheria. So can you explain to me what that organization is, or what is the Redding Rancheria is exactly, and so everyone understands?
The Redding Rancheria is a Native American tribe in our area. The Wind River Casino is on that property, so it is one of the operations that are ran under the Redding Rancheria, and Tyler's family is part of that tribe, the Redding Rancheria tribe, through, I believe his grandpa or great-grandpa is one of the original distributees of that rancheria.
Okay, so Tyler's family owns the casino, and they are part of this particular tribe, correct?
Yes.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. And does he make money from the casino, or he just happens to be, related?
I believe there are some distributions to the tribal members, and I believe that some of those profits come from the casino.
I see. Okay. Okay, so she drops Jeanette, right, back to her home. Are any surveillance cameras on her home or in her area, her neighborhood, her house?
So with the casino, she does live right kind of next door, and there's only one way and one way out. So, but I do remember just from being over there before that, I know that she does have a ring camera. Maybe it's not a ring camera, but I know there's a type of camera near her front door.
I see. And so I guess the burning question I have is, have you seen any of this surveillance? Like, have you gotten your hands on that at all? Just out of curiosity.
No.
No. Have you requested to see it at all?
We haven't directly requested to see footage. We have asked the police if they have videos and surveillance, and they they're not going to reveal a lot of details, but they have said they do have this information, and I guess we haven't asked to see it. I didn't know if that was something that we were able to do.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a law enforcement or anything like that. But if you can, I would just maybe talk to a lawyer and see if you can subpoena. Maybe force them to give you that stuff, because that seems a bit odd to me. But because with all the other cases that we've talked about here on this show, there always seems to be some footage that the family gets to get their hands on, right? So maybe it's something maybe it's an avenue to walk down, maybe, right? Now, you said that she was dropping her off, dropping Jeanette Hayward's, right? So I'm curious about that. It was her car that she was driving. Like, it was actually Nikki's car that was driving Jeanette back to her home, correct?
It was Jeanette's car that they were driving. So they drove, Nikki was driving Jeanette's car to Jeanette's house. And then, and I think dropped Jeanette off at her house, and then took Jeanette's vehicle back home. And then later on that night, took Jeanette's car back to Jeanette's house to drop that off to her.
I see. Okay. So when she dropped off Jeanette, she jumped in her own car and then drove home, correct?
We don't know, because her car, we assume, would be at her house at this point. So we don't know where her car was.
So I guess the burning question is then, what is this truck that was found on the side of the road out by the mountain area? Let me show you guys the truck. So then what is this then? Is this the car that she was actually driving when she went missing?
We don't know if she was driving that car or not. We do know that was her vehicle. Tyler had bought her that vehicle a couple weeks prior to her going missing. So that's why we were wondering where the vehicle was when we had figured out we hadn't talked to her in a while and that she was missing. And we figured the key would be to find her vehicle. So that's when we started asking questions about the truck.
I see. But this is the car that was found on the side of the road, correct?
Yes.
And from what we understand, she was operating this very vehicle before she disappeared.
Yeah, and then in the 2 weeks before, yes.
Okay. So why was she driving this car? Do we know any reason why she was driving this car 2 weeks before and when she went missing here?
You know what? No, because she already had a vehicle, and so it was just gifted to her by her husband, but she already had a car, so maybe it was just another extra gift for her. I don't know, but she'd already had.
Okay, so the photo that I'm seeing right here, okay, this is not obviously where her car was found. This is not like a photo of like this car that she was last driving was found here. This is the actual backyard of the McCain's home.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So they have multiple cars, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this is the car that she was operating when she disappeared. And that was the car, this very car was found on the side of the road near like a wooded area, right? I just want to make sure I'm making that abundantly clear, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So she may have had two cars. Okay. So she texts you, Chloe, and said, "Hey, okay, I'm dropping Jeanette back home." Now, here's the thing: has Jeanette been questioned? Because she literally is the last person to see Nikki alive. So has she been interviewed, interrogated, searched, any of that sort?
As far as being interviewed, we can't, I mean, we're not 100% sure if she's been interviewed. We heard that she has been, just from family and friends. And as far as searches, there was a raid on the property about a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer now.
Okay.
But there was a raid at Jeanette's house and some other properties nearby.
Okay. And some other properties nearby. I mean, so Jeanette's home was raided. Okay. So what are these other properties that were like searched and raided nearby?
And we weren't there. We weren't there, but what we had heard from the news and people who were there is that Jeanette's house, along with Jeanette's mom, Tyler's grandma, Sandy's house, Sandy Hayward, and Tyler's cousin, Larry Foltz's home was also raided, and he too lives across the street.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. Now, and we're going to talk about Tyler in a minute, so don't you worry about a thing. But I am kind of curious about there's these other properties. She went missing. This truck was found on the side of the road. This must be her secondary, maybe her, this is the car she takes to go with the kids or something like that, right? Anybody else see her that night? Anybody else claim any eyewitnesses of any sort saying, "Oh, we saw her doing X, Y, and Z at this gas station"? Have there been any other eyewitnesses or any accounts from anybody else?
Not that we know of. At one point, one of the people who live on Tyler's property,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's himself said so or Tyler had said that one of his friends had given her a ride home back to their house.
And that's it? Just a ride home?
Mm-hmm.
Same night?
Correct.
And this was before or after Jeanette?
After.
Yes, what they're saying, it was after that he had this Justin is his name. They had said he was one who gave Nikki a ride back home to their house.
After, dropping off Jeanette's
So,
vehicle.
So this Justin person is the last person to see her.
Potentially. That's one of the explanations that we were given by them.
Interesting. Okay. I'm just trying to piece this all together so I understand it a little bit better. All right. So Justin is friends of who?
Tyler.
Okay. So then let's talk about Tyler. So I'm kind of curious about this because I know from what I understand in December of 2023, Nikki walked into a police precinct covered in bruises, obviously in bad shape. And she made claims that Tyler, her husband, attacked her viciously in ways that I can't even say here on the show. But enough for her to get him charged with multiple felony DV charges. Now, they were supposed to go into a trial a couple months ago. And that did not happen because, well, Nikki is gone. So I do want to share this, and I know you guys have seen it because you guys are the ones who have made the video. A lot of you guys showed up in front of the courthouse representing for Nikki, asking for justice, asking for clarification, for truth. And this video came out. Let me share this with you guys.
Tyler's on the street. No justice. Tyler, where's Nikki? Where's Nikki? Tyler, where's my sister? Where's my sister? Where's my sister? Where's my sister? If Tyler's on the streets, no justice, no peace. If Tyler's justice, no peace, and toddlers on the streets.
Now, I'm kind of curious about this. Who was the one actually on camera, holding the camera and following him here? Was it you, Chloe? It was
It was-
Chloe?
Yeah.
Well, one, thank you so much for getting in his face. I will say that. I'm sorry, if I come out a bit feeling some type of way towards this gentleman here, the math just ain't mathing and the timeline ain't timelining for me. Okay. If you are looking at some serious charges, felony charges of DV, and suddenly the person who accused you of doing those things suddenly just disappears, something is off. Something ain't right. And when there's cameras in your face and you just shrug, like, I don't know, it doesn't help your plea optically, right? As far as Tyler goes, right? So I'm quite curious. How long was she subjected to this type of abuse?
We know that it had gotten a lot worse throughout the relationship. I know it started really. It was a really healthy, happy marriage in the beginning, and then I think they would start to argue more, and then I think it slowly got physical. But I think in the last like 2 to 3 years or so, maybe even a little bit longer than that, I think it started to become more physical. And at that point, about 2.5 years ago, it had gotten so bad that the kids were removed from the home because we were witnessing this quite a bit. But she did tell us about other incidences where she did truly fear for her life, but she's was also a strong believer in trying to make things work. And in our culture, divorce isn't common. So that's another piece of it too. She tried very hard to maybe change him. Maybe if the kids are in the home, they can kind of work on the marriage more and get back to where they were before. But as far as we knew, and connecting the dots now, I think it got pretty bad about, I would say, like 3 years ago ish. What wouldn't you say, Chloe?
Yeah, I think that's when things got like extremely physical. And I think before it was just arguments, maybe a push up here and there. But the last, I think 3 years was probably really terrifying for her.
So did she find any refuge within you all, or or was it kind of like trying to pull her out of something that she was trying so hard to stay in?
I think it was a little bit of both. There were times when, and she always knew our doors were open, so she could come to my house, Chloe's house, my mom's house. But at the same time, like I said, she didn't want that judgment from us. She didn't want, and if she pulled away for a little bit and then she would go back, then she didn't want to talk to us for a little bit because she didn't want to hear from us to help her guide her in the right way. So I think it was a little of both.
Interesting. I of course I understand. And that could be a very tough situation to be in no matter what. It's just unfortunate. So you guys were there trying to bring awareness, because obviously she is nowhere to be found still to this day. Hence the reason why we're here talking about this right now as we speak. Like I said before, the math ain't mathing. Timeline ain't timelining for me. Everything seems a bit coincidental. And in situations like this, I just don't believe in coincidences. Or she just ups and leaves when this is a moment that she can really take this man down. It just seems a bit odd. Does she have any information aside from him being terrible? Aside from him physically harming her, was there anything else that she had that could have been dangling over his head that could have incriminated him even more, or anything of that sort?
I don't.
She did share a lot of things with us that she did share a lot of things that I feel would be incriminating if he knew that we knew these things.
I see. I see. What do you mean exactly? I'm sorry for pushing, but I'm going to ask. Can
Um,
you expand on that a little bit? Just a little bit?
you know what? One in, gosh,
Okay.
I don't really have the words to say it, but let's just say when I was sending over the text messages to the investigator, I was a little bit hesitant to,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was like, wait, the cops are here to help us. Law enforcement's here to help us. Here's everything that she's ever said to me. Here's everything that she knows.
Okay. Okay. And
So you
that's fine.
feel that she was around um, Tyler quite a bit. So I do feel that there were things that she knew about that she would dangle over his head. But I don't think that, and she was a very loyal person. So that's something that I don't think he would ever expect her to share with us, much less to law enforcement.
Okay. And does law enforcement know these things that you just kind of said to me, that there may be some other stuff involved that she may have known?
Most of it.
Most of it,
Okay.
yeah. It's all in that text message that she sent me.
Okay, great. And then that's all that matters. It sounds like, as Grace just said in the chat, it looks like she's maybe she was just keeping receipts, and that's okay. That's okay. So the reason why I asked this, okay, is because when I was reporting this case, and talking about this and bringing awareness on, at least on my platform, about Nikki, there was a fire at his home. And it seems so odd that just happened right there. And I understand that there was a big wildfire that was going on in the area, but at the same time, it seemed a bit odd that suddenly, right now, his house is on fire. It just seemed a bit weird. Can we talk about that for a second? Was that manufactured or was that natural?
I believe he himself. What I read in the news is he himself approached the news guy and told him that he started it with a catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter.
So that is that's what he's reporting. But in the area that the fire started, there were a lot of abandoned vehicles. I didn't know if any of them were running. But yeah, that was interesting that a fire had started at the home, specifically in that area.
And so you said he claimed it to be a catalytic converter. But is there any, I mean, was it natural? I mean, or was this a manufactured fire?
For me, I just feel like Justin and Justin's very knowledgeable about cars. So I know that Tyler's used to race go-karts, and so I feel like they're very knowledgeable.
He would build them as well.
Build the engines, and so I feel like they're very knowledgeable about how things work, how cars run, and how they work. And also, we live in Redding, California. It's really dry here. It's like 110 degrees. So I just thought maybe they would be aware of the safety things, that those things could happen with a car and also with the weather.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. It just seems so coincidental, right? And at that time, they hadn't dismissed the trial yet. And then suddenly he leaves the courthouse. They've got this extension, waiting for maybe for Nikki to show up. And suddenly all his cars, let me correct myself, but cars are on fire in his yard. It just seemed a bit strange and coincidental. Very interesting. So let's talk about this trial. So she was charging him. He was being charged with many, many felony DEV charges. And now, because she hasn't shown up and she is the key witness to this trial, the whole trial has been dismissed. So this man, Tyler McCain, is free as a bird. And I'm curious for you guys, and Chloe, I'm going to ask this to you. How did this feel, hearing that this trial was dismissed and now this man is free right now? How did that feel?
I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. It really shocked me, but also at the same time, I understood that if it does get dismissed, and then what if my sister somehow surprisingly shows up, then they could retry him again. But if they were to go forward with the case even without my sister being there, and if for some reason Tyler was found not guilty for the domestic violence case, then we can never try him again for these charges. So I guess after kind of learning about that and having that explained to me, I felt like maybe that was the right direction, just in case there's any other evidence, or if my sister were to show up again, then we can retry him and probably have a stronger case.
So what is the next steps right now for you guys? I mean, obviously how has it been looking for Nikki so far?
It's been frustrating on the one hand, but we also know that the community that's come together, doing their own research, their own investigation, they've been doing a great job, and they're and shows like yours talking about the case. We're hoping that it's going to persuade those who might know something to come forward. This isn't one of those cases where it's we're just going to stumble upon her or find her. I do think it's going to be specific people who know, and we're going to need their help. So at this point, it's we've looked where we think we should look. Now we just kind of need those insider tips, or so to speak, or ones, people keeping their eyes open and spotting any suspicious behavior that might be linked, is kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Okay, so I understand that places have been looked at, have been rated, right? Now, how is the relationship with law enforcement right now? Are they doing a crack up job, or are they really dragging their feet here? What's the updates in regards to that?
We do consistently talk to law enforcement. They check in at least once a week, even if it's just to see if we have any questions and how we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that they're dragging their feet. I know the public does feel like that because they haven't made any updates or any announcements. But I also feel, largely because of the things Nikki had told us, that this isn't a simple case. And there are other things I'm sure they're investigating that could be tied to her case. So sometimes when you share and make a lot of announcements, it could tip people off. So I understand them keeping some of these details a little closer, and kind of in a more closed group, small group of people who are aware. But then and on the one hand, we do understand that, but just being that it's our sister, we want answers, and we see on TV that these tips lead to something, and then this evidence leads to something, and everything moves so much more quickly. But unfortunately, that's not how it is in real life. Things take time to process, and evidence takes time to process, and it takes time for people to feel comfortable coming forward and sharing the information that they might have. So we do sympathize. We know that the police are working very hard on the case. And everything that they do there's a process there too.
No, I understand. I totally understand. And I get it that there's things that are still under investigation and they can't expose everything. We hear that phrase, we're playing a lot of this close to the vest, so on and so forth. And I understand they don't want somebody running if there's some information that they hear in a press conference or hear on a podcast or something of that sort. So I get that. 110%. But, for me, it just seems so strange how all of this has transpired as of late. I mean, from what I heard in other interviews, other information, talking about Nikki in a way that just seems so odd to me. Oh, she ran off and she's with her girlfriend now, or she's in Vegas, at the casinos gambling with a man. I mean, and this is all coming from her husband, or at least that's the information that we've been gathering, all over the internet and in the news. And I understand that this is information that you guys were kind of receiving. Can you, tell us exactly what was going on here? I mean, when were you receiving that information that she had eloped with a woman or even a man, from Tyler? When did you guys get that information?
So I know that with the lesbian lover, I know that story was for the domestic violence case that happened in December. He had said that the lesbian lover had beat her, and then this time around he had said, after we couldn't find her, he did say that, oh, she ran off with her lesbian lover. And then but when other people talked to him, or another family member, it was like, oh no, she took an Uber out of here. And then he would say, oh no, she ran off to Vegas with her boyfriend.
But yeah, these are things that he did say directly to one of us or one of our other siblings.
Wow, that's interesting. So when she was attacked and she said it was him, that's when this girlfriend suddenly materialized.
Mm-hmm.
But did he use that same girlfriend when she went missing?
I think initially, he didn't say that to me specifically, but I know that other people had told us that that's what he was telling them, that he had told them, or his family members had told them that she's not missing. She's in a hotel with her lesbian lover.
Wow. Okay. And then suddenly this boyfriend shows up that she eloped with, or this boyfriend showed up. Now, this alleged boyfriend, which, it sounds like a fabrication to me. When did the boyfriend's name come up? When she went missing, or is this before she disappeared?
After missing.
After she went missing. And they didn't really say a name. They just said it was an ex-boyfriend, and she, her and Tyler had been together for 15
years. Yeah.
Years, maybe more than that. And there was no ex-boyfriend. And they just said ex-boyfriend. It wasn't like this specific person or anything.
How's the family, the McCain or the Hayward family, doing right now? Are they helping with searching for Nikki right now? Are they participating, cooperating with you guys, or not?
No.
No. Not at all. Not one day out here searching like you guys have been.
The first day we had someone scheduled a search. Jeanette was there along with Tyler's sister and a cousin. And I think they got in an argument with someone and they ended up leaving. So as far as immediate family, that was that one time that they did come. There are some extended cousins that are very supportive, and they do come to anything that they can.
Okay, extended cousins, but immediate family speaking, as far as the McCains and the Haywards, are they participating, helping in any type of way, at least as of now?
Oh, wait, I also wanted to mention Tony Hayward was also there on the first search too, that Kay just mentioned when Jeanette Hayward was there. So Tony was there, and he gave us some spots that we could look into also.
I believe Tony is an extended cousin as well.
Yeah, and I'm asking about it immediate. As of late, have we seen Tyler out here searching at all?
Yes, no.
Okay.
He actually, when one of the days when we did, it was um, about maybe a week and a half after he was missing, um, me and my friend and her stepmom and Mandy, who is Brian's ex-girlfriend, we were out searching, and Kay was there, a few of our family members, and we went to hang up some missing posters up around the area we were in. And we actually saw Tyler, and he drove up and stopped and rolled down the window, but he didn't talk to me, and he did talk to Mandy and said, like, "What are you doing?" And Mandy's like, "What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm out here searching for Nikki." But he didn't even look at me, and I was standing pretty close next to Mandy. He didn't even look at me, and he um just took off.
Interesting. This was in the very beginning
Yeah.
of your search. Wow. So can I ask you, because I know we just saw the video, which I love. I love that courage. I love that energy. In fact, that's what somebody just said in the super chat, and I'll just grab it right now. Tipsy just said this: the courage her sisters have to not back down. Hearing where's my sister is just heartbreaking, and I pray that you get answers, or they get answers very soon. And I totally agree. But the fact that it was in front of that courthouse, when did your thoughts change? Because I mean, I'm sure in the very beginning, it's like, let's try to find Nikki. Where's your wife, my beloved sister? Let's go find her, right? When did the change happen? Because it had to have happened fairly soon, fairly quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when did it go from we're all family, we're going to go find our family, right? To where is she, Tyler? I'm curious. When did that happen? Go ahead, Chloe.
Like, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but just
It's okay.
just I know how bad things have gotten throughout the years, and so my sister's always kind of she's told me a lot, and so she's always like she would always tell me things. And so then when she went missing, I didn't hear from her. In the back of my mind, I don't want to accuse Tyler, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, does he know where she is? But I still held on to that hope because he was my brother-in-law for so long, and he used to be so nice to me, and he was so caring. But there was just a little bit of hope that maybe he didn't know where she was. But then I think that one day when we ran into him and how he couldn't even look at me, I knew for sure that he wasn't being completely honest with me. So I think that's when I realized there knows where she's at.
Yeah. Something ain't right.
Wanted to believe that. I really want to believe that there's good in all people, no matter what, even if my sister's like, oh, he did this and this to me, but I still want to believe, okay, there's still a little bit of good in people still. But after that day, I realized, wait a second, he betrayed me because I think he knows more than he is putting out there. Because if you don't know anything, why can't you talk to us, and why couldn't you face me that day? And you just totally ignored me. And then the way he was acting at the courthouse, I think from them, that's what that stemmed from, because I wanted to say so much that day when he saw us. But when I was at the courthouse, I was like, okay, here's my chance, because he's not going to be rude to me in front of all these people. He's going to be, but apparently he was not what I was expecting him to act like. He was so arrogant and so just abrasive. I guess that's the right word for it.
You saw the beginning of the video when Chloe first started recording. He did a little
like flipped
scratch on his head.
Yeah.
And when Chloe started to be more assertive with him, because I think it was just more he's approaching, and then we see that, and then that's when Chloe said, okay, if you're going to be rude, and if you're going to be trashy like that, in the very beginning you can see
it's
it
right here. Bang.
there. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And then it's a shrug.
Shrug of like,
this is,
I don't care.
Right. And this is the reason why this has been really kind of burning my cookies. Okay. I try not to curse too much on my show. try to be a gentleman. But the videos like this and this case, this story, this whole thing about Nikki makes me want to use every single four-letter word I can think of. Not towards you guys, towards this guy right here. To me, it's like, okay, if he has nothing to do with this, if he's completely innocent, optically, he's not doing a very good job at that, clearly. And it makes him look even more suspicious how he's treating her own family. This is her sisters, her family that just want to know where she is, get clarity, get some transparency, right? And to just flip you off, Chloe, and shrug his shoulders when he should be like, yeah, I wonder where she is too. I'm trying to find her. When are you guys going back out? I'm going to help out. I got resources. I got friends. I got X, Y, and Z. But he's not doing that. Have you guys been threatened in any type of way? Because I feel that in my bones that there's been threats.
Not us, but I know that I think that maybe other people may have, but just I haven't gotten any threats, but I think I'm pretty sure other people have gotten threats.
And we do try to be very cordial with how we communicate with the family, because these were people that Nikki cared about and still care about, and she was around them all the time. So we try to keep, even up until that day that the hearing when he flipped Chloe off and shrugged, we still try to keep a cordial relationship, and kind of like our arms are open if you whatever you want to talk to us about. We're not calling you the enemy. We're let's do this together. And I think at that point realize there's no working together. It's blatantly obvious that us being cordial isn't going anywhere. Yeah, that's how he feels.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. Of course, I'm hoping that by saying it out loud, maybe it stops if there is any type of worry coming from anyone that's trying to find out what actually happened here. Because from like I said, it's astonishing what I've heard, and very confusing still. Because even so, I'm going to pull up this photo again of the truck real quick, because it still really isn't mathing to me here. But I want to share this with everyone again. This truck, it's not her truck, or it's not her primary car, but she was driving this car. Now, this truck was found in Tehama County. Now, I'm curious about this. It's found in Tehama County, off on the side of the road. Now, is she known to drive out in that particular area at all?
No,
No.
Anybody out there.
So she's not known to drive out in Tehama County at all.
No, that's an area of town that most people, it's a good hour drive. A lot of people don't even though they can see it on a map, no one would just venture out there. There's not really anything there. You've been there, or you've there's some horse ranches out there, and mostly just acreage.
Okay. Now, I know that you guys are still looking everywhere, but I'm sure, has there been other properties that haven't been touched yet that maybe you were trying to get access to so you can search? Any places of interest? That's what I mean.
Yes, we do have some places of interest that are like private property.
A lot.
Okay.
That's the sucky part, is they're all private properties, so we can't just hop on there and be like, hey, I'm gonna look in your backyard, or
No, I totally understand. Aside from, I know that there's a lot of people, family, friends, volunteers that are putting in time, blood, sweat, and tears, helping you guys out. But when is your next search? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to be able to come through, congregate, and help search for Nikki.
Yeah.
We have a big fire going on right now, and it's kind of more east of where Reading is, but over the weekend, people were kind of preparing to evacuate if needed. So we're kind of waiting for that to die down a little bit and for the air. So our air quality is not great right now. It's okay, but it's not great. So we don't, and with the heat, with how hot it is, it's been in the triple digits. So we do plan on maybe organizing a search. And I know that there's also just other people who will do their own search without necessarily, they just kind of do their own thing. And we're, and they tell us what they find and where they're going. So we're in the know, but as far as like a bigger effort, we're kind of waiting for the weather to get a little safer. We don't want to endanger anyone out there.
I totally understand. Have the police said anything about any suspicion of foul play? That's what I was trying to say. Do the police think that there's any foul play? Because the last report I read about weeks ago said that they didn't suspect any foul play. And I'm wondering, do they see anything? Has that opinion changed as of late?
They have not identified a suspect or anything, so I don't know if that has officially changed, that opinion.
Okay. Anything new? Any new updates as far as this case, as far as this investigation that you can maybe share with us?
I know that we have the Kingsman Group, which is a private investigator group that's helping with the case and doing the investigations. They're from out of the area, and I know that they have been receiving tips as well. I think a lot of the tips they're receiving are maybe someone who doesn't want to talk to local law enforcement, but they do have information, and I believe they are getting some good tips there, as well as tips coming into the major crimes unit as well.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that people are, maybe those who have information are hoping they didn't have to share their tip and that something would come out or come up. But I'm hoping that with how much time that's already elapsed, that people are kind of feeling more of that pressure, that if they don't speak up, that could really be the make or break of the case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do have a flyer here. I will share in just a little bit, because of course, actually I'll share it right now, and because I do have some questions here, but I do want to say that now the reward has gone up to $30,000, a $30,000 reward. Okay. For any information that leads to locating Nikki. So if you know anything, please contact. You can call all of these numbers. There's plenty of numbers of 503 or 530-638-3855. Then there's the Shasta County secret witness. I'm sorry. The first number was the Redding Rancheria. Am I saying that correct? Rancheria? Rancheria. Sorry about that. NCAM Live. NCAM. Say again?
Rancheria.
Rancheria. Cheria or Cheria?
Rancheria.
Rancheria.
Yes.
Yes. Got it finally. Rancheria. I'm so sorry. Wow. Rancheria, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. The Redding Rancheria NCAM line. Okay, that's 530-638-3855. You can call Shasta County Secret Witness 530-245-6135, or the Kingsman Philanthropic Corp, and that's 786-509-7135. Now, I'm curious, because I know that we've been hearing, and we've seen you guys on many platforms. I know that there's been coverage from Dateline all the way down to Nancy Grace, to name a few really great platforms. And I know a lot of them have all said the same thing, that Nikki would never leave her children behind. And I'm curious, how are the children right now, and where are they? Are they with Tyler right now?
The children are with our family. And I was mentioning earlier, a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago or so, when the domestic violence escalated and got a lot more physical. The children were removed from the home for their safety. So they have been with our family, and they're safe, and they're physically safe. They're, we are, they do understand that their mom is missing. So that piece is, you can tell they have rough days, but we try to keep them distracted and busy, and looking forward to school starting. So, yeah, it's just day by day with them.
Chloe, you want to add to that?
Yeah, and just trying to keep them off social media, just because there are just a lot being said online. So just trying to shield them from what's being said. And I know that it's kind of hard to once school starts back up, because I know that students are at school will have questions for them. But yeah, we're just trying to keep them protected from what's being said online.
I understand. Another question I have, though, is she known to be outdoorsy person at all? Is she one that likes to camp, do anything outdoors?
No, the opposite. She, her and Tyler are both very much homebodies. They actually they would go to the coast once a year, and even then, I think that was kind of, they kind of just felt obligated to take the kids out of the house for the week kind of thing. But they're very much homebodies. They didn't really like to be out of the home. Camping, any of that's kind of out of the question. And that's another reason why we feel like it's so unlikely for her to take off and leave. She wasn't want to plan trips. She didn't plan, she didn't book hotel rooms. So for her to take off and just say, I'm going to wing it is just not something that she had experience doing. So I know that she would feel very unprepared. And honestly, if she did run off, we have a sister that lives out of town. That would be the only place that she would go. If she truly said, I want to run off for a little bit.
Right.
But she's obviously not there.
And she'll tell me where she's going, where she's at. So for her not to tell me where she was going and where she's is now is very alarming to me.
I understand. Where's her cell phone? Was that ever recovered?
I don't know. We don't believe so, but the police haven't confirmed that.
Okay. When was the last time you had contact with law enforcement?
Friday.
Okay. So recent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Because I am kind of curious about the cell phone. I mean, she did send a text message out to you, Chloe, and then nothing after that. So I am kind of curious as to what was actually obtained, what is in the police possession right now, because that could give you a little bit more, insight on anything pertaining to her last moments before she disappeared. And with all due respect, I do want to ask this because, of course, we have to put this on the table, and maybe it's nothing, but with all due respect, did she have any bouts or any struggles with mental health?
After the kids were taken away, it was an uphill battle for her. And I know that she would get, it wasn't like she was depressed, but obviously if you're trying to get your kids back, that took a toll on her a little bit. Yeah. And she always had an anxiety. So she would take medication for that on and off. But she didn't have any severe issues. I mean, nothing more than any of us when we get overwhelmed or when we,
No, I totally understand that. I mean, you want your kids back, and it should be you taking care of them, not because of a situation that has happened and all that. So the kids were taken only months before the trial. So around December, this is when the kids were taken out of their custody?
No, they've been out of their custody for about 2.5 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so out of their custody for 2.5 years, correct? So in December, because maybe the reports that I've been getting are wrong, in December, that's when she walked into the precinct, correct?
So I don't know if she went to the police, and Chloe can clarify this, but she, after that happened, she left, and she was essentially hiding for a couple of days. And then when she went and talked to Chloe, and that's when Chloe took her to the hospital. And I believe the police came to the hospital and spoke with her there.
Okay. And just so I understand this, that was in 2023.
Yes.
Okay. So the kids were already out of the house when this terrible thing happened. So her reporting the DV, the abuse, in December, the kids were already taken out of that home way before that, and nothing changed inside that house.
If anything, I think it got worse.
So what was the first report of her being or there being any type of DV in that house, which would take the kids out of that house? You see what I'm saying? Because right now I see reports that are saying in December, this one thing happened, right? But it sounds like this happened, or this has been happening for a while. So when did all this start happening before December?
Like we were saying, we want to say, I mean, it might have been 3-4 years ago when it all kind of started to escalate. And then there were many calls to law enforcement. But every time they would come, Nikki, again, she didn't want her husband to get in trouble. She didn't want, and I think, so anytime law enforcement would come, she would say, I didn't mean to call. Nothing happened. And after so many calls, I believe from what I remember is that law enforcement said, too many calls. We see that children are here. We see that. I think at one point too, the police said that I see that something happened. I see that you're injured. You're telling me that nothing happened, and she would say nothing happened.
Right.
So,
And there was.
That might have been the incident where they said, okay, well, I know something did happen. And if you're not going to say or do anything about it, we're going to do something about it and take the kids.
I see. So it's like, okay, because of what I see, I have to force my hand and take these kids out of this situation because this is a bad environment for the kids. And then I guess for those 2.5 years, they were trying to get them back.
Yeah. In the very beginning, Nikki tried really hard to get the kids back. And so she really did try in the very beginning. And then she kept trying. And I think she felt like
she felt defeated.
No one was in her corner. And so I think she didn't really give up, but she kind of just felt like, how am I going to try to get these kids back? She got a lawyer and everything.
She hired different attorneys actually, but it just sounded like they weren't because the kids go through the trouble court, and one of the attorneys that she hired helped as much as she could, but it's a whole nother. People aren't familiar with the ICWA laws, so it's so a lot of people weren't able to help her. And then I think and then one of the solutions, and we did tell her too, is and was if they had divorced, then she could fight for the kids as a parent, like a divorced couple. But that to her was more of a last resort. She didn't want to dissolve the marriage. She wanted she wanted the family unit to stay together.
Interesting. And you said the ICWA laws? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mispronounce it. That's news to me too. Can you expand a little bit on that? Okay.
The Indian Children Welfare Act. So it's so any children that are part of a Native American tribe, they
there's this law that
I don't know most, or at least the Redding Ranch area does have their own tribal court that handles children's services and maybe even like family law type cases. They have their own jurisdiction over that. So it's not in conjunction with the county or anything. So it's just, you do need very, very specialized people to navigate that. And her not being a Native American herself, I think that made it a little more difficult too, because within the ICWA rules and laws, they want to make sure Native American children stay with Native American families.
Wow. Okay. And then so for 2.5 years, she had been hoping and trying to get her kids back to, I guess, to prove that these two, Tyler and her, were having, were reconciling and working on their marriage in the best way possible.
Mhm.
But then suddenly things go from bad to worse in December. And then, of course, that's when she files.
Mhm.
Correct?
Mhm.
Where it's like, I've had enough. Interesting. Because I was kind of curious about if there was any sort of struggle with, I don't know, like a custody battle of some sort between the two, between Tyler and Nikki.
I think they both knew as long as they were still married and together, it would actually be more difficult to get the kids back. And actually, after Nikki went through the domestic violence in December, the DA's office assigned her a victim's advocate who we've met, and she's absolutely amazing. And I think in working with her, Nikki felt more empowered and more, I think she felt supported that she could maybe do this on her own. Because I think prior to that, she felt very dependent on Tyler. And I mean, she didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom, so she felt very dependent. And I think with that victim's advocate, she felt very much empowered. And I think she was on a path of getting her independence back and possibly getting her children back.
No, I see. Chloe, you want to expand or say anything on that?
Yeah. On May 7th, that was I want to say like what 10 from last time she texted me, but she did tell me that she was going to divorce Tyler, and she let me know that she enrolled in school, and she was ready to do this, and she was strong, and that she was going to divorce him.
Oh, wow. I'm really praying for you guys. And I'm praying that something gets figured out here very soon. Because I mean, obviously you have this lovely mother, sister, out there somewhere. And the people that could possibly have the information are the last people to actually see her alive, possibly. I mean, at least in the way I see it. I mean, of course, I'm not in the case or anything. This is just I'm just a guy sitting on the outside looking in, and I'm hoping that law enforcement is asking the right questions to the right people, and that there is some searches going on outside of what you guys have been pouring so much energy and time into. But one thing that is frustrating to me about this case as well, and hence the reason why I am bringing this up, not only just to talk about it and hear a little bit more, get more clarity and understanding about the case, is also so that everyone out here that's watching the show knows a little bit more about Nikki's case and actually starts talking about it. Because it seems as if about a couple months ago, people were really wanting to know. This was a conversation being had. Then the fire happened, and then everything went dead in the water. And I'm hoping that by having this conversation, this is going to revitalize the awareness, the care, that energy, that much needed energy to get behind this case and maybe get on law enforcement's butts to actually produce some stuff, some findings, maybe a press conference of some sort, letting you all know. I mean, it's more important that you guys know what's going on. The press, et cetera, it doesn't matter. As long as it gets you guys closer to finding Nikki. And it's just interesting and frustrating that, like I said, people were talking and then it stopped. And so I'm hoping that by us talking about this, bringing this up, bringing out her name, saying her name, that we can get closer to finding her. Is there any activities that she liked to do, any hobbies, anything of that sort that she really loved to do aside from being a mother, right? Aside from being a doting, I'm sure, wonderful mother, was there any other activities, anything, hobbies, whatever that she loved doing that maybe if she's off somewhere, she could be doing right now?
She loves to eat. She loves the foodie. She's small, but she can make nothing into something. Eating is her thing.
She loves trying new food for sure. But honestly, anything that she would do, like she loves like hair and makeup. She loves she
Loves to shop. That's her thing.
loves to shop, and she loves to dress up like her kids. So I mean, all those things, like she wouldn't have run off to do those things.
No, she would love to like.
Loves to do, or like she loves shopping for herself. She loves shopping for her kids, our kids. Yeah, and she loves dressing her kids up, and that's always been. I mean, and she truly her hobbies had always revolved around her kids. She at one point we talked to her about because she wanted to redecorate her house.
Yeah.
And we said go look on Pinterest, and she wasn't interested because she's like, well, those things don't interest me. I don't really care about that. And so she's like, but I did find this hair tutorial, So it's just things that she enjoyed weren't something that you would run off to go do.
Yeah. Chloe, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I was agreeing with Kay too. That was Nikki.
Yeah. Well, again, I do want to share this with everybody. Again, it's $30,000 reward for any information. Please, guys, check it out. There is a QR code here. Let me take down this off to the side here real quick. Hold on. So there it is too. So if you are watching this on the replay or watching it right now and you have any information, please contact any of these numbers, go on to their social medias, etc. Please. Okay. There's also another number right next to the QR code here too. All right. For the NorCal Alliance for the Missing Anonymous Tips. And that is 530-378-4491. Okay. That's off in the corner. All right. Right next to the QR code. So if you know anything, please say something. All right. Take a screenshot of this here. Please contact anyone that you may think will get you closer to helping find Nikki. Okay. Now, again, to you both, Kay, Chloe, I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time, blessing us with your time and your energy, and just keeping her energy and her name out there. And we will do the same here on this platform. And hopefully other people who are watching right now will find the time out of their busy schedules to hashtag her names, share her photo, and bring more awareness to this situation, because she needs to be found as soon as possible.
Thank you so much for having us, Pascal. We appreciate it so much.
Of course, Chloe.
Great.
What are you saying, Kate? Kate,
Thank
what
you for sharing her story.
Of course. And we will continue sharing her story right here. Promise you that. So thank you so much for coming on. Please have a blessed rest of your night. And let's talk here hopefully very soon. All right? You're welcome.
Thank you.
God bless. So, guys, I do want to say a big thank you to Kay and Chloe for being here and just sharing some information about Nikki. Because like I said, I had so many questions. Sorry, guys, I'm just pulling up her photo. Again, I had so many questions. I got to be real. So many questions. And I'm hoping that there were a few things were clarified for everyone. Because there were a few things that were, I was a little confused about myself, but we were able to clarify those things, which I'm very, very thankful for. Okay. And again, we are still talking about this. We are still bringing it up. We are still going to talk about it. All right. So I again want to show you her face. All I ask is to start hashtagging her name. Put out that information. This is still a case that is still percolating out here in these streets. Remember what was going on with Micah Miller. This is very much that same, almost that same type of vibe. And notice how much pressure was applied onto that man and how much pressure was applied to law enforcement. Why? Because people like you and me were out here talking about this and bringing awareness, period, point blank. So I urge you guys to keep saying her name. And let me pull up one more time her flyer so we can end this show, because I know we're all tired and we all got things to do. All right. But here, real quick, one more again. All right. Here it is. $30,000 reward. Please check it out. Use the QR code. Call these numbers. Do whatever you need to do. Bring awareness. Okay. I appreciate all y'all for being here. I know I do have a super chat or two here. Tyler, thank you so much for being a member for 17 months. I appreciate it. Thank you for covering this. It's insane, sad, but also interesting, but also an interesting world out here. Thank you for centering people. Thank you, Tyler. You know I love you, man. Thank you so much. Sunshine Susie, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing her story to everyone. This case needs more attention. Yes, I agree 110%. I agree 110%. Okay? 110%. That's the reason why we're talking about it. The more we hashtag her name, the more we share, make a TikTok. It doesn't even need to be this video. Doesn't. Hashtag her face, her name, etc. Let's bring the pressure on because they need to have her home. They do. All right. So, all right, guys. Well, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean the world to me. We need to bring more awareness. So hashtag her name, share her face, do a TikTok, do a YouTube video. It doesn't matter. As long as that there is awareness on Nikki. Let's find Nikki Saelee-McCain today, yesterday. All right. So do me a favor before we get out, hit that like button down below, hit that reaction button. If you're watching on other platforms, go and hit that follow button on all my social medias. That's from Facebook all the way to Twitter. Okay. Or X. I'm on all of them. Trust me. Go check it out. All right. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my secondary channel, The Pascal Show clips. Okay. Go check that out. Hit that join button down below. Support if you can. And check out my Patreon. All right. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. Okay, guys. Anyway, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great, safe rest of your night. Kiss your loved ones. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll talk soon. We got a lot to talk about. So see you guys soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.